I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Supervisors to order, please. The first item is an invocation, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'd ask everybody to please stand for a moment of silence and deliberate on the things we have to do this evening, and especially on this past weekend's event in Colorado.
Let us pledge to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item is a presentation to the United Way of Montgomery County, Radford, and Floyd. And if Mr. Meadows will lead the way, please.
Yep, I'm going to head down, and I'd like for the board to come down with me because I've got two plaques I'd like to present to Ms. Edmonds. Each year, the county employees participate in the annual United Way fund drive here at the county. And this year we had two very nice distinctions that were presented to the county on behalf of the United Way, and I wanted to recognize Karen for these. I'm going to hand this one to the board chair to ask him to hand to Karen. The first award is a top 25 company of the companies that were involved in the United Way campaign this year. We were in the top 25 in Montgomery County, which is, I believe, the first time. Yeah, it's one of the few times we've ever done that, so that was quite an accomplishment. Also, we have a plaque for being the third highest increase in giving of any organization in the United Way campaign this year. And Karen and her staff do a tremendous job coordinating the campaign and getting out information, and I just wanted on behalf of the county administration to say thank you, and I thought the board would like to as well.
It's nice to see some accomplishments like that, and we've had several in the last couple of years. I think that just shows that we have a very hard-working and dedicated staff. and we appreciate it very much. The next item is a public hearing. The following public hearing was advertised pursuant to the law in the Burbs of the Roanoke Times on July 15th, 2012. It's a proposed ordinance tax exemption request by Mountain Valley Charitable Foundation. And I'll turn this over to Mr. Meadows to...
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have a public hearing this evening. As you're aware, we discussed in a work session several weeks ago the request from Mountain Valley Charitable Foundation to consider real property at 1860 and 1870 Big Spring Drive in Elliston to exempt that property from real estate taxation due to the desire to develop this property into a thrift store and a food pantry. And that's the background. I do see that there are several folks here this evening from the foundation, so I'm sure they'll probably want to speak at the public hearing.
Okay. Anybody on the board have any questions of Mr. Meadows? Okay. We have one person signed up for this public hearing. It's Michael Hemphill. Michael, if you'll please step forward, state your name, address, and you'll have 5 minutes, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Meadows, thank you all so much for allowing us the opportunity to be here tonight. My name is Michael Hemphill. It's my privilege to serve as the Executive Director of the Mountain Valley Charitable Foundation. I'd like to introduce to you other members of my board who are here tonight. Tom Dunkenberger is our board chairman. Sitting to his left is Dale Mull, our vice chairman, who is also the volunteer director of the Shawsville Food Pantry. And to Tom's right is George Smith, who is also on our board and is also serves as the manager of the Meadowbrook Center facility. I apologize. I'm supposed to do something up here to get this going. Nope.
Maybe Chris, back there.
Josh?
I see.
Oh, there we are. Just click on that over there, and then...
You need to have the lights down.
Yeah, can we dim the lights a little bit, please?
Yeah, I think he's getting back to the door. Is there...
Yep, click on that very first one to the left. That one.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. If you'll give me a little flexibility with the 5 minutes, I would appreciate it. The mission of our foundation is to provide opportunity and empower community for eastern Montgomery County to be the best it can be. Over the last several years, we have been able to do that in large part because of the support of the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors, Montgomery County staff, and just the great assistance and like the support that y'all provided our community, primarily through the work we have done to revitalize the old Meadowbrook Nursing Home into the Meadowbrook Center, and now today as we seek to revitalize the old Elliston Fire Station. Some of you who I know are new to the board and may not be as familiar, so if you allow me just a little background on this project. This started for us in 2008 when our foundation hosted a community-wide retreat for people to help identify what are the big needs in our community. And chief among those was and is the prevalence of abandoned buildings that clutter our landscape. Out of that, a task force was created to help work on these issues, and out of that, kind of the most viable property which was abandoned, which we thought we could reasonably take on, was the old Elliston Fire Station. So over the subsequent years, we worked with you all to begin to try to get some operational control of the building, and then to also determine a need that we could meet through the building's usage. And originally it was to use the building as a thrift shop along the lines of the Y Center in Blacksburg and all the recycling and benefits that a good thrift shop can bring for a community. As I'm sure you all are aware, last year you advertised a request for proposals to purchase the property. Mountain Valley Charitable Foundation was the sole bidder for the project, for the building, and subsequently sold the building to us. And since then, we have worked with local architect Robert Pilkington, whom you've met here before, to create what the building will look like. We're obviously very excited about this. There have been a few obstacles along the way. Here's just an overview of the site. We obviously had to purchase the building itself, the building which had no property for parking, and so we were able to work with the adjacent landowner to purchase that piece of property. So now we have property for parking so that we could actually do something with the building. The main obstacle that we've been facing, which is why things have taken longer than they always do, is the VDOT right-of-way actually cuts through both corners of the building, as you can see with the red marking, which seriously impacts what we can do to the exterior of the building. We are plugging along with that. We filed a request with VDOT, paid our money to VDOT so that they would consider our request, and so we're still working through that process now. We have not given up hope, so we're still moving along with that. Less of an obstacle and more of an opportunity has been our decision to incorporate the Charlottesville Food Pantry into the project. Like I said, originally it was just going to be a thrift shop, but we were made aware last year of a need by the food pantry. A brief background on the food pantry: it was founded in 1999 by the Charlottesville Lay Ministerial Association, which is an association of 10 local churches. Each month it provides groceries for at least 150 low-income families in our community. Since its founding, it has operated out of donated space, the basement of Big Spring Baptist to begin with, for a while at Meadowbrook, and since 2006 in the old Charlottesville Middle School Annex. We were made aware last year that that building may or will not be with us that much longer, that there are plans to demolish the building. As far as the timeline, we've heard as early as next year. I believe Dale would attest that the food pantry is on basically a 30-day notice that he could have to clear out in about 30 days. So we decided what a great opportunity to finally provide the food pantry with a permanent home, a home where not only for the people it serves, but also for the volunteers that work in there, on a weekly basis to make sure that the food pantry has the groceries it needs to meet the needs of our community. So not only having space, but also the space with such modern amenities as heating and air conditioning and plumbing and bathrooms, which they currently do not have. So we were very excited that we could bring this into the mix. Since then, we've obviously had to reconfigure our architectural plans for the building. So if you look at the screen to the right now, essentially the right half of the building is now devoted to the food pantry, and the thrift shop will be on the left-hand half of the building. This will obviously impact the, quote, profitability of the building. We feel as though it's just the right thing to do to finally give our food pantry a permanent home. We're hopeful as far as a thrift shop that it might be able to generate enough sales to support the building's maintenance, the building's utilities, and if there's any extra to help us with the construction costs that we're looking to in part finance in order to make this happen sooner rather than later. The project budget, as you can see here, with the fire station property purchase, the adjacent land, and then the architectural, engineering, and permitting fees that we've had to pay, all that together comes to about $40,000, which we have been able to cover. $40,000, which we've been able to cover thus far with our fundraising that we've done in the past. We're now looking at about a $220,000 building renovation estimate that was obtained through a competitive bidding process with 5 contractors, and this was the low bid and best bid. So we have a capital campaign goal for the fire station of $220,000. We feel fortunate that thus far we've been able to raise just over $120,000 from donations and pledges. We received a small grant from the Richmond-based Bern Carter Foundation. And we also had a fundraising dinner where Firehouse Subs donated all the food for the event, and it was a great time. Next steps, obviously we're going to continue fundraising and writing grants. We're excited though that all the building plans have been approved, and now the contractor will be seeking to get the building permit. And we'll begin construction toward the 1st of August. And so we will be holding a groundbreaking ceremony of sorts. Some of you were there when we did the groundbreaking at the old Meadowbrook nursing home many, many years ago, which was more of a wall smashing than a groundbreaking, but we're going to do that again on Wednesday, August the 1st at 5 o'clock. And we, of course, want each of you there to be part of this, because, again, this has been, we could not have gotten this far without your support. Right now it's planned on a 4-month construction process, and the building should be open by the end of the year. What we are here tonight asking you is to go with us one step further in declaring this property as some other nonprofit properties in Montgomery County are as a tax-exempt property. We're not here asking for your Montgomery County support to help us build the building or to provide us with some funding for operational support once it is built, but some in-kind support through a waiver of property taxes. That is, in a nutshell, our request. Again, we are doing this to benefit the community with the food pantry, the thrift shop, revitalizing an old building, which will only enhance the Village of Elliston corridor and make all those properties and hopefully property owners more valuable. I'd be happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Anybody have any questions, Michael? Comments?
Yeah, I'll ask Tom just to lead him in the direction here that about some things that needs to probably be brought out. And I would probably say this in a statement and then let him have any words he might want to have on it. And that is, in the value as listed of the fire station is $217,200. If the foundation doesn't take it over and it goes back to the way it was, it becomes a detriment rather than something that is going forward and making the community feel better about itself. It will be something that will go down in value, and it will sit there, because without the lot that was bought beside of that, which no one else had ever been able to buy, and there were several people had tried, without that lot, this building is worth nothing, or basically nothing. I don't know anything else it could be used for. We went over that when we were talking about having bids on it. The building in itself, with the corners cut off of it, is worth nothing. Just a plumb flat nothing. I mean, you can't do anything with it. You have no parking, so therefore you can't get anybody to come in and buy anything, so you can't use it as a retail spot. And it just lends itself to not being able to do anything with. The fire department was allowed to stay there because I guess they were kind of grandfathered in as time went on, and we found, as y'all know, in the Elliston School Railroad right-of-ways that went through that property that we knew nothing about, that we're trying to resolved that I don't know whether we've ever resolved or not. But anyhow, the whole deal here is about taxes. And the truth of the matter is there will be no taxes either way we go. We can either let an organization that wants to help and provide a food pantry have it and let them be tax exempt as they should be, or we can do nothing and say, no, you're going to have to pay taxes, and if they decide that they can't pay those taxes, then we have an empty building that we can do nothing with. And that we either got to tear down or we got to keep up for years with roofing and whatever we may have to keep up with in order to keep it standing. So it would just seem to me like it would be better judgment on our part to make these folks tax exempt on this property as we have done the one in Johnson. So I'd be glad to
Mr. Brown?
If I'm off base, let me know.
Mr. Brown?
The comments that I want to make is that I want to applaud the work that you guys are doing down there. I had no idea. I knew in that part of the county what you guys was working on, but I didn't know you had made it as far as you'd made it. When you showed what money that was pledged and raised and your serious commitment about rehabbing the building and so forth, I think it's wonderful for what you guys do on that part of the county, and I don't have any problem supporting it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, actually, I have a question, if that's all right. I was just curious. Thank you very much for the presentation. Sure. I was curious, do you have any plans, or what's the charitable foundation's plans if for some reason the VDOT request to release the right-of-way is not granted?
Well, our plans right now would be to do whatever renovations we can do on the inside, so that at least the food pantry has a home. Because that's, from my board's perspective, that is priority number one. The reason why we wanted to do the exterior enhancements to the building is to make it a more attractive property for the community, for if we were able to open a thrift shop in there, for a thrift shop to hopefully attract more people to the building. But I think it's safe to say, I may get kicked in the backside from my board, but I think it's safe to say that if we can't do the VDOT, whatever, it's also obviously be subject to the Montgomery County Planning Office on what they will allow us to do if we don't have that VDOT right of way. But I mean, it is our intention, should we receive the okay from the Planning Office, to at least do whatever interior renovations we can do.
Okay. And that goes into my second question. So the groundbreaking ceremony on August 1st, that would be to begin the interior renovations.
I'm sorry?
The groundbreaking ceremony on August 1st, that would be to go towards to begin the interior renovation.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Right. It's our hope that by the time the construction process would have, gotten to the exterior part, that we will have permission from VDOT one way or the other to make those improvements to the building.
Just one other thing that I'd like to maybe ask you, who's going to run that, if you would, are able to get this thing up and going, should everything work out?
The thrift shop, you mean?
Yes.
We're still working on that. We have had discussions with the YMCA at Virginia Tech. That's as far as it has gone this far. We don't have any contract in place yet on the operation of the thrift shop.
And the YMCA was the one that I was thinking was still at least there pecking on the door in some fashion.
But they've been they've certainly given us encouragement that should we be able to, open a thrift shop, that we could, at least make it a viable proposition, given the success that they have had out of the Y Center in Blacksburg.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
One question about the thrift shop.
Mm-hmm.
If that was to come into play, and I would imagine you could bring donations there, with the way you guys are confined, would you have a possibility of actually having a place to drop off donations so it's not like out in the open, like, I don't know exactly how, like in Blacksburg, it's behind the building?
Right, we are, see if I can go back here. Right now, the plan would be, if you can see on the bottom part, you have the thrift shop side, you have the food pantry side. In the middle is where the bathrooms are located. There's a space in front of the building where you would be able to have some drop-offs there. We would not be accepting drop-offs and storing items outside the building. That's
Yeah, it's just really, it's hard to have volunteers, but to be there when you have the hours. But that would be the best. Yeah, that would be good.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's one of the benefits of the thrift shops. Not just selling stuff, but is receiving stuff that might otherwise be going to the landfill. And receiving stuff that not only isn't going to landfill, but isn't contaminating your landfill. I mean, which is one of our reasons why we've been looking at the Y in Blacksburg. They have such an extensive recycling program. You bring in any fabric at all, if they can't resell it, they're packaging it up and they're sending it to be textile to I think someplace in North Carolina. So that's not going to landfill. All of their electronics get recycled, so they're not breaking down in the landfill. And so it's really diverting a lot of what some might consider waste from the waste stream, and then giving it new life to people who might not be able to afford it. Also, providing emergency supplies for people who are in need, hit by disaster. If the house burns down, they go to the Y Center in Blacksburg and they're given all of this stuff. They're not asked to buy it. So that's another community benefit for this.
Anybody else? Seeing no one, thank you very much, Michael.
Well, thank you all again for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay. And
see you August 1st at 5 o'clock.
If there's anybody else in the audience who would like to address this public hearing, please step forward. Seeing no one, we will close this public hearing. The next item is public address, and we have two people signed up. If you want to call out your name, please come forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes, please. And the first speaker is Gloria Craighead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Thank you for your time today. My name is Gloria Craighead, and I reside at 1252 Allegheny Spring Road in Charlottesville. I am submitting a business proposal for the former Charlottesville Elementary School. I have an autistic son who is 5 years old, and since he was 3 years old, he was diagnosed when he was 2 years old, and he was receiving therapy in home through early intervention. And when he turned 3, his services were turned over to the county, and it was up to me to transport him back and forth to these therapies. And sometimes that wasn't always an easy thing to do, having to take him to Blacksburg and things of that nature. He's a creature of habit. He has to have everything done the same way all the time. So if he doesn't get that consistency, it really hinders his continuing development. And so I have discovered that there really aren't many programs here in this area specifically for autistic children. And when he went to Head Start when he was 3 years old, he was paired up with a wonderful lady. Her name is Doris Kane. She was his aide and has been his aide up until the end of this school year there at Head Start. She has made miraculous strides with him. He went from not talking at all to now he is talking complete sentences, and he's really, really thriving. And he received speech and occupational therapy there 1 to 2 days a week. But unfortunately, during the summer months, he does not get any type of services whatsoever. Very limited. If he doesn't make it to school, I would have to transport him to Christiansburg and so on and so forth. So consistency was really a problem with his therapy. what what I'm proposing to do is start an autism school, and also a daycare center with a Get Well clinic as well in this building. I'm speaking to other parents and special needs educators in the county. A program such as this is very needed. And Roanoke County has a Blue Ridge Autism Center, also called the BRAC, but it is only available to Roanoke County residents. So here in Montgomery County, obviously we cannot take part in that. And so the children here, when we get this diagnosis of autism, our first question is, what do we do now? Where do we go from here? And I would like for there to be a place where parents can go and take their children and receive consistent therapies and education for their children. The autism wing that I'm proposing will provide these educational services 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, for preschool children and younger with a documented diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder and Asperger's. An after-school program for these children once they are in school will be in place. Specialized screenings will be available for younger children showing signs of ASD in order to promote early diagnosis and treatment, because the earlier the better when it comes to autism. Also with the Child Daycare Center, we'll be implementing the high-scope curriculum for toddlers and preschool. All components of state licensing standards will be met for all children and staff. Classrooms will consist of safe, clean, bright, fun, educated, age-appropriate furniture and equipment for healthy development. Also, the teachers and staff will be very well educated and trained to take care of the children. The Get Well Clinic is something new to this area. It would be the first and only child care center component of its kind in this part of the state. The only other one that I know of is in Richmond. When I spoke to the licensing officials in Abington, he didn't even know what I was talking about. So he'd never heard of it before. So he spoke to the officials in Richmond, and yes, they said that it can be done. We would need to have special ventilation system in that part of the building, have to have a separate entrance, all those to comply with licensing standards, which upon looking at the building, I can see where that can definitely take place. There's a special 2 separate entrances at the building. One especially I can see can be designated for this clinic, and it's just to take care of the children when they become moderately, mildly ill, when otherwise standards would make them go home for the day. Things of that nature, and this way they can be safe and taken care of there to take some stress off the parents so that they do not have to take time off of work for a little sniffle here and there, that sort of thing. So there will be trained, very highly trained nurse, either LPN or above, and also volunteers or possibly CNAs if the volume gets kind of high. Also for injuries and things of that nature. If it's a highly communicable illness, however, then they will, of course, still need to be taken home and cared for there. This is only for minor illnesses. Also, Montessori is something that I'm wanting to implement, which is a very unique method of child development and education. I have one lady who is certified in teaching Montessori, so it will be something specialized that the parents will request that particular part of the program, whether or not their child will be enrolled, because it's so unique, and the classrooms will be designated for Montessori, only separated from the other children in the regular daycare classrooms, because not all children can do Montessori program. It's a very unique method. But I believe that Charlottesville, Elliston, Christiansburg, even Blacksburg could benefit from these services. And I love my hometown. The school building is very dear to my heart and to my family. And it's been around for 40 years and designed to educate children and house children, and I would love to see that continue. It's a very, very special place. Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Well, with your business plan, is there a way that you're thinking about paying for all this, or?
I will be talking to some investors. I have some people in mind at the moment, but I haven't spoken to anyone yet because, of course, it'll be based on approval of whether or not, I get the support from you all to even obtain the building first. So I haven't actually talked to anyone just yet. This is the very beginning planning stages.
So you were thinking of obtaining the building how? Exactly
It'll probably be financing. I don't know the cost. I haven't been able to research that part yet, so I don't know the cost yet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary?
Yeah, I was just going to say, the building at this point is still belongs to the school board. And they are who you would need to speak to about the building. And if you can work out a plan of where things will work as it comes forward maybe and comes to us, then we would be more than glad to look at it, I'm sure. But as of right now, we don't own that building.
Okay.
It's not our building, so we're talking about something that belongs to the school board rather than us. And until and if or until they decide to do that, then we can't do it.
Okay.
So that's kind of we're kind of
Right.
hand-tied thing.
I had talked to Brian Hamilton, and he has suggested that I speak to you all about that. So.
And it's fine that you speak to us about it where we kind of know what's going on, but still, the school board has, as of yet, as I know of, stated any date that they even might turn it over to us. So.
Is that one of the properties that's going to be on the surplus list for us to dispose of?
It is at some point, but they haven't given us a date as to when they anticipate turning that over.
Because what I understand is, like prices for the old high school, different other properties, will be at a certain time whenever the school board decides, they would turn them over to this board to surplus. And there's people interested in other old schools throughout the county and so forth. And if I'm speaking for myself, but I think the other board members said whatever the praise value or whatever it is, that's how it would have to go. And I don't, just like I think when they got into the firehouse down there, the county's not in the business of being a landlord or renting property or leasing property. So if it came to the board, we would dispose of it in some way, shape, or form. So I think that's what we're looking at.
Ms. Perkins?
No, I was just going to say some of what Mr. Brown said.
And I would want to see a bid, what you were willing to pay for the property, as we've committed, at least I understand the board is committed itself to selling this property to curtail the debt, and so that would be something that I would be looking at as what kind of price that you would be able to pay for the building.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Once we get it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say that so you get your hopes high.
Right.
Yeah, and to bring it back down and be thinking.
Yes, and I thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Also, now it does, it's home to the special needs children in Montgomery County, is it not? Too many of them?
There's a program there.
There is
The special needs offices are there right now, and they're in the process of transitioning back
What they call it, famous.
way. So, yeah, I think they told me probably around September time frame is when the building will be empty and ready to turn over.
Good.
She knows more than we do.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Clark.
The next speaker is Brian Wilson.
I had just noticed that you guys had the Montgomery County All-Stars on the new business thing, so I didn't know if I should speak now or...
No, you can...
Can I give you guys I'm sure you guys have seen the headlines in the news about the girls softball team. That's what we got agenda for this evening. So I'm just here to represent the girls in the community out there. What kind of funding?
Thank you.
Thank you for their trip. You're talking 9 and 10-year-old girls, but it's I think that it's a special group of girls that they'll go far, and it's probably the first time or the last time that you'll see their name in headlines. 11 out of the 12 girls are from the Roanoke community, and they're a special group. They're leaders in their athletics and their academics, their churches and the community, and just wanted to see what the board could do as far as helping to fund a once-in-a-lifetime trip for them to kind of grow that relationship.
You might say the other one's from Charlottesville.
That's right. 11 out of the 12, and then the 12th one is...
Well, I'm pretty proud of our community too, so. Yeah.
And that's really it. I'm just here to represent them and ask for your support.
Thank you very much. The next item is addendums, and I don't believe we have any.
Yes, sir.
And the consent agenda, do I have a motion, please?
Okay, I'll let you motion in a second.
I'll second it so you can...
Okay, moved and seconded, discussion, please.
I'm sorry, I know consent agenda is supposed to fly right through. I did want to mention under consent agenda that the item number 2, the Parks and Recreation donations, which is for $1,661 in the resolution that you have before you, they've received another $250 today, and so that amount needs to be $1,911 instead of $1,661. And as Mr. Wilson mentioned earlier in the consent agenda, we're also including a $1,000 donation for the girls to head to the Dixie World Series, and that's consistent with what we've done. I guess it was a year or so ago when we had a team from Blacksburg that also made the World Series. So, just wanted to add those 2 clarifications.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Just clarification, Craig, you mentioned that the $1,000, that's not part of the consent agenda. It's our first item of new business.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't voting on it twice.
I was flipping too fast. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Creed?
Aye.
Ms. Perkins?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Tuck?
Aye.
Mr. Gabriel?
Aye.
Chair Paletta?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, next is new business. Board of Supervisors transfers from general contingencies. Balancing contingencies before approval for this resolution is $371, and the transfer is Board of Supervisors transfers from general contingencies contribution to the Montgomery County Dixie Angels Youth Softball World Series of $1,000.
So moved.
I've got a motion. Do I have a second? Motion and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes. My thoughts are, the boys team last year emanated out of the town of Blacksburg, and they got a whole lot of support, not only from this county, but from the municipality. This is a team that sort of emanated out of our recreation department, Montgomery County. They don't have the town of Christiansburg to go to and ask for additional money. They don't have Blacksburg. I think that we ought to increase that amount of money. And the boys team traveled to North Carolina. The girls team is traveling to Alabama further. And it's a different story if the rec team the team out of Montgomery County could go to the town council of Christiansburg and ask for some additional help in the council of Blacksburg. But it's a county team, and I just think we ought to do a little bit more in helping with their expense.
How much more?
I would like to see about $500 more, make it $1,500.
Well, I could take that as a friendly amendment, or however you do it. I can incorporate that in the original motion if you like.
Okay. You wanna,
I'll stay with my second on that.
okay.
I'm fine with that.
All right, any other discussion?
I just wanted to make sure this is what we have done in the past to support Parks and Rec departments, and this is something consistent with what we've done previously.
If they win.
When you get to this level.
Yeah.
If they go to the
win
World
state.
Series.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they go to the World Series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the second year, that 18, but it's male or female that's leaving going to the World Series.
Okay. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Ms. Purvis?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Tuck?
Aye.
Mr. Gabriel?
Aye.
Mr. Creed?
Aye.
Chair Palettis?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay. And thank you,
Good luck.
Mr. Brown, for that.
Yay.
The next item is a resolution of appreciation to the Economic Development Authority for Gerald W. Higgins.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Well deserved.
Yeah. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Tuck?
Aye.
Mr. Gabriel?
Aye.
Mr. Creed?
Aye.
Ms. Perkins?
Aye.
Chair Palettis?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, the next item is a resolution of appreciation for the Economic Development Authority for Michael B. Miller. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Tuck?
Aye.
Mr. Gabriel?
Aye.
Mr. Creed?
Aye.
Ms. Perkins?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Chair Palettis?
Aye.
7 ayes.
And subject E is a resolution of commemoration for Margaret Brown Childress, former member of the Library Board. Do I have a motion, please?
Well, we
Did
gotta
I
do
skip one?
Andy first.
Andy.
Okay, I'll go back.
Andy Moore.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do E and then we'll go back to D if that's okay.
I'll move E.
All right.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
We're doing E now?
Mhm.
Yes.
We're doing E and now we're back to D.
Mr. Tuck?
Aye.
Mr. Gabriel?
Aye.
Mr. Creed?
And let me just say one thing, I don't have an E, but aye.
You don't have an E?
You gotta have
I
an
got
E.
D.
You have to have an E. Did you
Next
put it down
page.
some more? How?
And D.
Go to, agenda here.
Uh-oh.
And, hey, let's make a recommendation. So, do I wait 2 weeks for the million, Jared?
You just have to go to the agenda report. That's where it is.
Yeah.
Under report.
Yeah.
Not under
Under
tab.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Under report, yeah.
It's agenda report.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr.
Yeah.
Tuck? Mr. Creed?
Aye.
Ms. Perkins?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Chair Palettis?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, and now subject D.
Did you two get to vote?
I'll vote. I know it was a new guy.
No, I'm just trying to make sure you guys are paying attention. You just make sure you guys are paying attention.
Started with Mr. Tuck and Mr. Gabriel, then Mr. Creed, and he stopped.
Oh, okay, maybe that was what happened. I thought it was-
Yeah.
She got
Yeah,
it
so
before.
that Jerry too, he didn't have it, yeah.
I thought it was just being, mean to the new guy.
Your short-term memory is supposed to be a little bit better than ours. What's going on here?
All right, now we're gonna go back up to subject D.
Okay.
Resolution of appreciation for Montgomery County Floyd Library Board for Andrew Morikawa.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a
Second.
second? Then second, any discussion?
I would just like to say that I served with Andy on the library board for a year, and you will find very few people in this county who are more dedicated to improving it and serving their community. So this is well deserved.
And he came in at a very, very challenging time onto that library board and brought quiet leadership and understanding, and he was able to really help everyone come together.
Okay, and he's been very valuable to the community as a whole with other boards he serves on. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gabriel?
Aye.
Mr. Creed?
Aye.
Ms. Perkins?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Tuck?
Aye.
Chair Palettis?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, the next item is the county attorney's report.
No report, Mr. Chair.
County administrator's report.
Mr. Chair, just one item this evening. I don't know if this was mailed to you guys individually or not, but we've received an invitation from Pulaski County for their annual elected officials picnic on Sunday, August 26th. In the past, we've had one or two folks that have attended each year, and it's a good opportunity to get to know some of the elected officials from the other jurisdictions. And if you'll just let Vicki or myself know if you plan to attend, we'll make sure we get a head count over to the folks in Pulaski. But I wanted to share that with you if you didn't have it already. And that's all I have this evening.
All right, Ms. Perkins.
Okay, I don't have a report, but I do want to say that we want to wish Ms. Biggs the best as she approaches her surgery for hip. She won't be with us the next time, so Ms. Biggs, having been there and done that, you're going to enjoy it when it's over.
I'll be with you in spirit.
You're going to do it during your lunch hour, right?
Well, I'm going to what now?
You can have your surgery during your lunch hour so you can go back to work.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have it August 7th and go right to work August 8th when
Good.
school starts. Y'all be ready to run.
All right. Supervisor Creed.
Just one thing, I just was wondering if, being as that we had no one to speak against the tax exemption for Mountain Valley Charitable, if would be appropriate that I would make a motion that we go ahead and vote on keep them out of suspense as long as we can, where they can get to doing the things that they need to do for the county. So I would like to make a motion that we do the tax exemption request for Mountain Valley Charitable Foundation.
And
Is that a motion? Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
I do want to mention under tab A of your agenda, with the information that we included about the request, we do have an ordinance drafted if you want to use that as your basis for your motion.
Yeah, the motion will be to approve the ordinance.
Approve the ordinance, right.
Okay, been moving
The tax exemption be effective January 1st. So
January 1st.
January 1st?
13th.
Yeah, 13.
Okay.
Okay.
Next tax year.
Any further discussion?
I'd just like to, I think this is a good idea. I would just hope that the board will remember this, because we're setting a precedent. We're going to be selling a whole lot of property that the school board will be surplusing, and we're probably going to have similar situations coming up in other parts of the county, and so the board should be aware that we are indeed setting a precedent, and I hope that we'll follow through on this. If we have other dedicated community groups that are willing to do this type of thing in other parts of the county.
Well, I'd like to comment on that. In a way, if you look at the whole situation, the firehouse is a little bit different than what we publicly said for the selling of the schools.
Right.
So the selling of the schools, we did say we wanted to sell those for the highest possible value so that we could then put that money back in. But we never specifically said anything about the fire station. But I think you make a really good point, Matt, because we might not have that understanding, but other people out in the community, they might not have that same understanding and come to us and say, well, you did this, why can't you do that for us? So I think your point is a very valid one, and I'm glad you brought it up so that maybe we can get the word out that this was it's a separate type of building compared to when you're selling all the school buildings. So I'll give my comment.
And the other thing I would point out is, and this building is a little bit different. They took a risk because of the VDOT issues that they have as far as their easement. They may still not be able to use the building the way they want to. And so, yes, they got a reduced price to be able to do that. And for us, one, if everything works out for the charity, it benefits the whole community. But they're taking a tremendous risk. They have bought another piece of property with the hopes that they're going to be able to deal with the VDOT issues. And so this is exactly what I would think of as a tax-exempt entity, that we would be treating them similar to a church, a synagogue, the Masons, those type groups, which are automatically, as I understand it in the Virginia Code, provided for as tax exempt. And so, to me, this is an easy decision in regards to this charity.
Anybody else?
No, I just wanted to say with Matt that I agree. I think it's something we need to be very cautious about. There's a great deal of property in Montgomery County that's tax exempt, and we all know that. But I agree that we chose the schools are an entirely different matter, and we have. But at the same time, if you're making tax exempt status all across the board for these nonprofits, there are a great many nonprofit organizations in Montgomery County, and I think we will need to try to make distinctions if necessary. But I agree with you, Matt.
Okay.
I would say, let me just say one thing, and that is that the Mountain Valley Charitable Association has probably added as much value to the lives of the people of eastern Montgomery as any other entity ever has in the life of eastern Montgomery. And they didn't do it by going out and saying, give me. They did it by making money to renovate and to do things with this, this property that they're doing now. They're looking at trying to raise $300,000 for it. The OYMCA, I don't know exactly how much, but it's in the millions that they've raised for that. So, if you got a group like that really add to everything that they've ever done, you need to be looking at them with the realization that you're going to get back more than what you have ever given.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Perkins?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Tuck?
Aye.
Mr. Gabriel?
Aye.
Mr. Creed?
Aye.
Mr. Chairperson?
Aye.
7 ayes.
And I'm sitting close to Mr. Brown tonight again. I told his wife it was okay, but that son is doing the same thing to me tonight.
She's kidding. She slipped some arms. She slipped some arms coming out.
I'm going to talk to Ann after this is over.
You're going to talk to Ann and Merle.
Oh, she's in there.
Hey, he's back in this week.
What?
He's back in this week.
That's all right, I'll talk to Ann.
Mr. Gabriel.
No report this week.
Mr. Tuck.
No report this week.
Mr. Brown.
Well, I got one thing. I want to share a letter with you, members of the board, and it's a copy of a letter that was sent to the Lone Star McCoy fire chief from the county registrar, and I was made aware of it probably a month ago, but the people out in that district are very upset. I mean, you go in the food line over there, don't let them take our polling place away, and da-da-da-da. So I just thought I would just make you aware, because what I understand, before any kind of changes are made, we sort of have to bless it, and the U.S. Department of Justice really, do the thing.
And just to be clear, Mr. Brown, this board is the one who determines where
Polling places up?
right, not the registrar or the election board.
Well, I would think,
They could recommend or ask.
Right.
It's up to you guys.
but I would think when something like this went out, that a copy would have been sent to the board.
Yeah.
Because you're right by on the marquee out there, don't take our polling place away. And I'm just like, what they talking about? And I had 2 or 3 people drive up, I was cutting grass, and says, well, I hadn't seen anything come across, our information. So just keep it in mind.
Okay.
if it ever gets down to it.
Why wasn't this sent to the board? Probably the board of supervisors made aware of this as well.
Man, I'm down there cutting hay or something. This guy drives up and says, "No, this is at one of the meetings." He said, "Maybe you ought to be aware of that." He gets like a month or so ago, and I look and it's got February on it, so I must have got it in May.
Is there?
You know, I mean, and they give you a copy of what they got.
My larger concern too is that are there other letters out there?
That's the only one I know of.
Well, to other polling places.
Yeah. I mean, this is the only one that I know of.
We never got a copy of this, we've never had any, I've never seen it.
No, I haven't.
Could we perhaps, I don't know if the board would like to do this, but is it worth asking someone from the electoral board to come and talk to us about the coming election generally?
And what all the polling places proposed are.
I mean, it might be some letters to other areas and things like that. And there's a hodgepodge of stuff out there, and if you want to believe innuendo and rumor and things like that, just like some of the people out there have been told that the fire department want it moved. The fire department says, heck no, we don't want it moved, and rescue captain and things. So it's whatever you believe that's out there, and just like the lady that puts them on, they talk to them and says, it ain't the way it is. I said, that they're blaming it on this, blaming it on that. He is blaming it on the fire department and so forth. So I don't know what to believe when you hear the rumors floating around out in the area. So,
Ms. Biggs?
Oh, okay. I just wanted to thank Craig for the nice approved budget, and we have that.
I knew you wanted something to read while you were recuperating. So.
And also the courthouse tour. That was really interesting to see. Actually, you can sort of really see what it's going to look like now that they've got it going. And then the other thing I wanted to know is, would it be possible maybe for our board to send to the board out in Colorado that is the elected board out there that's dealing with all of the stress right now, a letter of support or condolence or whatever it might be, like we did for the Littleton when we had that problem in Littleton with Columbine. Could we send a letter from our board just to recognize all that they're going through?
Everybody all right with that?
That's appropriate.
Yeah, I think so.
We dealt with Virginia Tech issues.
And we have people
And
support
we got a lot of support from that.
Yeah.
Sending a letter of support to the board in
Aurora
Aurora,
County, I
Colorado.
guess, is what it would be. I don't know how
Letter of
exactly they have
condolences or
it set up.
to the board in Aurora, Colorado.
I think they call them commissioners out there. but-
Commissioners.
Yeah, whatever their elected body.
We can find that very quickly.
just playing it, but we're detecting and
Yeah.
I'm sure Virginia Tech. Fine with me.
Okay.
And that's it.
All right, and I have a little bit of a report. Last Friday, right?
Yes.
Brian Hamilton and I took a trip to Harrisonburg, and we visited with the Commissioner of Agriculture, and spent a little over an hour with him discussing several things. Of course, hemp was one of the things that was mentioned, and it seems like in Richmond, hemp is synonymous with Jim Politics, and Jim Politics is synonymous with hemp. So
I'd say that is true.
at least I'm getting heard, but we're not getting a whole lot of action. So we did have a good visit, and after we do this, we'll get to you, and it's a little frustrating. I've been at this for 3 years now, and the people know I'm here and know I'm doing it, and I'm going to continue until they tell me that I'm barking up the wrong tree, I guess. So, but we did have a very good trip, and Commissioner Cole was a very congenial person, and had, like I said, a good visit with him. And the other things we talked about were some changes in some of the small agriculture regulations that are overrun by big agriculture. and it makes it difficult for small agriculture to continue in a lot of areas. So, and they've been working on that, on things I didn't realize, and I was very happy to see the progress they've been making on community-supported agriculture and things of that nature. So that's really all I have. If there's no other business, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gabriel?
Aye.
Mr. Tuck?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Creed?
Aye.
Chair Gallows?
Aye. All right, thank you all very much.